Hey, my name's Aaron Wolff, and I'm a sound designer at Rebound Sound Company. And I love synthesis, so when we decided to team up with Kilohearts to bring you the Phase Plant Game Audio Preset Pack, I was super excited. In this pack, we have everything from cars to guns to footsteps, breath, birds, machines, ambiences, even liquids. And we've got a number of different styles represented. We've got sci-fi, horror, magic, FPS, and more. And modern and retro, and everything is customizable, everything is tweakable, everything has macros, and it's a lot of fun to play with.
This is actually the first ever phase plant patch that I made, and we've polished it up quite a bit. And this was originally done before the release of the slew limiter, but now that we have it, I can turn the mod wheel into the gas pedal. So any key will do it. You can turn on backfire to make some kind of unstable exhaust sounds. And the stu for a turbo. This is for alarm clock sounds. First we have the classic one. And then with the sound selector we can find all of them. It's a classic 90s fake wood grain alarm clock. We have a small timer. And this one probably a lot of people recognize. And the mod wheel just reverbs it. And if we want to hear all of them at once, we can just disable the sound selector and put them up. This is my archery patch, and it allows you to perform a bow and arrow pullback, release, and arrow hit just with your keyboard. So just holding down a key, I pull back the arrow, and then release to fire the arrow. You can change the draw speed to have the arrow hit. You turn on arrow hit, which is also the mod wheel. You get that. So you can also turn off the pre-hit. You can adjust the arrow hit pitch. You can get fun, performable sounds. You can adjust the rubber band elastic sounding effect upon release. Doom. And then the length of the arrow wobble. The speed of the whoosh and the pitch of the whoosh upon release. So there you have it. It's a customizable bow and arrow generator.
This is going to be a quick demo of the Horrorscape patch. This is a highly performable horror atmosphere and tones generator. It also can be used to make stingers. Here's a quick demo. On initialization, playing a note will give you a nice terrible sound, which is great if that's what you're looking for. Performing these macro knobs can give you anything from a subtle atmosphere to a full-on stinger or even like a jump scare. Bringing up the distortion will make things get even more terrifying. And you can use the mod wheel to perform a riser effect.
So this is a breath generator. And if you hold down a note, it generates some breaths. And with the mod wheel, you can change the speed. And if you turn off auto mode, you can make individual breaths with the inhale-exhale knob. So it's just constant. You can make it synthetic. Which stops it from using an impulse response, and it makes it use a formant filter to get the vocal tone instead. And of course you got throat size. So there you have it. It's a breath generator. This patch is for bullets ricocheting, and you just press a key, and it automatically generates a few tones. You can blend between the tones with the mod wheel. One of the tones moves more than the other, so it's just echoey, reverberant, almost old school bullet ricochet sound. Yeah.
This is a demonstration of the basic calculations patch. On initialization, you'll get a nice glitchy tone like this. Turning the calculate knob will make the patch think a little harder. The frequency shift randomization knob will do exactly as it sounds. Brings up or down the frequency randomization shifting. Turning up the frequency shift smooth knob will make those random frequency glitches more smooth instead of snapping. The grit knob will bring up and down some distortion, adding some nice crunchies in there. Of course, the glitch intensity knob will add even more intensity to the glitching. And you can bring up or down the convolver, further shaping the sound. And we've got a LFO depth if you want to get a little bit more out of that LFO, or have it not come in at all. Change the speed of it. So it's just a highly shapeable glitch patch.
There's a button clicking patch. By default, it's a mouse click. And with the mod wheel, you can morph between that and a more pure sine wave tone. On the skeuomorphic knob, you can get a button with more positive feel and a slight flammy attack. Frequency shifts it down. And then you just have a cool impulse response. So these are damage sounds from old school RuneScape. And you can get the female sounds, which share one sound, I think. And then you get the death sound. And just for fun, you can slow them down, which coincidentally, that sounds like a goblin sound from RuneScape. It might be actually not a coincidence, that one. Just some effects for fun. This is the camera sound, and on load up, it gives you shutter number 2. You can use the mod wheel to make it faster. And you can try shutter 1. It's a more retro sounding camera. I like the way shutter 1 sounds fast. And of course, if you want to try shutter 2 without the servo, you can do that. Just kind of clicks. And to loop shutter 2, you can turn on this knob. And flash bulb is the kind of old-timey camera sound. And it disables the sounds of the other 2 shutters. But you can kind of mix it too. Or mix with shutter 1. So that's this sound. Playable circular saw motor. And you use the mod wheel to make a cut. So here we go. And if we want to turn this into a dentist sort of situation, we can first turn on the hypersonic to make it go really fast. And the dentist knob creates the format of a mouth. This patch I originally made in 2018 in a different synthesizer, Zebra 2, to make fun of my friend Noah, because he always had this kind of hyper-real, almost overstimulating sci-fi energy in his designs. And he's a great sound designer. He now works at Bungie, and this is just a full blast sci-fi texture. So this is my electricity patch, and it's just kind of like an old school zap. You can turn on a second stage to it, which sounds like this. And you can increase the kind of randomization and sparks with the mod wheel. There's a little bit of randomness going on. You can turn that off. It's much more constant. Intense arc just turns on some distortion, makes the lower tone more prominent. And the release quality makes it a little bit more fizzly as it goes out, as opposed to crackly. Spark pitch just slightly adjusts the initial spark when you press a key. I had a lot of fun making this preset. So this is my helicopter patch, and you hold down a key, and you can play with the mod wheel to start the engine. You can change perspective from inside to outside. And of course the distance. And you can change that underlying tone. So this is a patch that is named after a skit I did with my friends when I was a kid, in which one of our characters had a weapon called the hyper-automatic prototype 50 kilowatt multifunctional pulse ray hand cannon. And I didn't fit all that in there, but this is just like a future sci-fi automatic gun. And you can change the firing rate and the tone with the mod wheel. And yeah, you can also change it here. And there's comb. It's on by default. And we've got an FM texture that you can add. For like a really aggressive high-end tonal element. You can change the charging time. So it's a pretty customizable, all-around sci-fi automatic weapon.
This is a demo of the Charging Kai Blast patch. On initialization, you'll get a That's what you'll get on the initialization. Using the mod wheel is the best way to perform this. Doing quick little snaps can even give you kind of an impact effect. And then slowly turning up the mod wheel turns the Kai charge knob so you can perform a Kai charge up. Liquefy is going to give the sound a little bit more of a liquidy, kind of bubbly feel. You can add a little bit more pre-delay, which adds even more to that effect. Or if you want it to be more clean, you can take down that pre-delay. Reverse is going to add some reversing effects onto the end of it. And we can add some post-delay. And we can shape the character of the sound with the character knob.
This preset has 5 mouse over sounds, which are intended for when you're hovering your mouse over a specific menu item or button. Some of them are inspired by some popular shooters, and others just by other things I've heard. This one's kind of just a generic mouse over sound. This one's crunchy, has kind of a low end element and also like a little high end crunch. This one's just a 3-stage beep. This one reminds me of a smart TV. And this one reminds me of Flash games from back in the day. Like little browser games. So this patch was inspired by Phase Invaders, the game that you can play inside of Faceplant. In the original Space Invaders from the late 70s, you have these enemies that are moving towards you, and they make this sound. You can see what I'm holding down. And then to fire at them, you can press any key above that. So obviously it doesn't actually link up with the visuals, but it's the same idea. You hold down C3 or lower, and there's a chance of hitting an enemy. If you want to make that chance 0, you go here. And if you want to make it 100, you can go here. So that's how the game is played. There's a UFO. And if you play with the mod wheel, you can morph the sounds from a classic sound style into a modern one. And even the UFO has it. So there you go. It's just Phase Invaders with 2 different styles. So this is Alvaro's sound, the pneumatic nail gun. And it's this kind of pressurized air nail gun. You can turn out the mod wheel to make it maintain air while you're pressing. I have it go through a tube. Tighten up the transient. Or just... So this is my servo shop patch. Different pitches, you can adjust the interval. The mod wheel kind of gives it a more LFO rhythmic off-kilter feeling. You can adjust the noisy chaos of it. Hypersonic adds almost dentist's drill-like sound. You can turn off the mech. And you can change the verb. I tried to make it as useful as possible throughout the whole keyboard range. This patch, Simple Sine Creatures, is a bunch of different animal sounds with a sine wave. So In the default load up, you just get medium speed, medium adjust. It's called adjust because it does different things depending on what bird you have. But right now, in the default setting, it changes the pitch. So you can make many different kinds of birds, or you can even make mice. If you want to use one of the presets, you can go over to the mode selector and switch it until the light comes on for one of those. And then it doesn't matter what key you press, you just play. There's a quail, and you can tune the quail. So let's try the loon. So you can adjust the loon to be closer to you. And same with the hawk. Can make it closer to you. So that's this patch, and there's so many different results that you can get playing around with just speed and adjust that sound like tropical creatures, mice, owls, all different kinds of birds. So I thought this was a fun patch, and it's all using one group and one main oscillator.
This is a demo of the alien communications patch. Upon initialization, playing a note. Give you a nice glitchy tone. The tone can be shaped with the mod wheel, which turns the swell knob. If you want to make a nice long frozen glitch, you can turn up the freeze knob. Turning the character knob will change the characteristics of the sound. Turning the reverse knob will bring in some reversing effects. And turning up and down the crunch knob will bring up and down the distortion, which creates some nice crunch.
So this is my police siren patch, and it's got a standard American police siren and a European one. You can change the frequency of the modulation as a real police car would. And in the European one as well, when they only have 2 stages here. And we've got a Doppler with an auto pan. So you can see the volume of the approaching car here. And this is the pitch, so you can see when it passes you. So let's say I want to go from the right to the left, and you can see where the car is coming. You can increase the length of the Doppler. You can change which side it's coming from. And just a reverb knob. And that's basically this patch. You can get a lot of good sounds out of just this, whatever you need for a police siren. This is the Tire Skid Simulator, and I've used this patch on linear designs before. It's just granular on a cello performance of a very high note that I recorded, and my skateboard wheels, so you can hear the layers individually like this. That's just the cello, and then the skateboard wheels, and then what I called wandering. This seems to do the job pretty well for all around tire skidding, burnouts, peel outs.
So can't wait for you to check it out. Thanks.